Hey Silaholics, and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you how to put a spin or twist on a very popular design, which is the split monogram or split name design. There was someone who made a post in my group, my Facebook group, Silaholics Anonymous, Silhouette Help, on how to do the design on this particular tree, and she wanted it to be curved so that it followed the flow of the tree. She didn't want it to just go straight. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Now, you can use any image. You want to first go ahead and do a trace on your image, and you want to do a trace, not a trace and detach on it, okay? So I did pull two different trees. You know what? I started recording this, and then I had to stop because my phone rang, but I am going to bring in, so we're going to go File, Merge. I'm going to bring in this file just so that I can show you guys how to trace it, just in case you've never traced anything before. That you're going to go to your select trace area or your trace tool, select trace area, put your box around it. It's going to pick up on those black areas immediately. Now, you may have to make other adjustments if it's different colors. If it's like more than one color, you may have to do more than one trace. But, you know, that's different videos like on tracing. But once you get a trace, all the other steps will pretty much be the same. I like to take my scale down. Sometimes it helps it, sometimes it doesn't. But I do like to do it as kind of habit to take my scale all the way down to 4. Then we're going to hit trace. Again, trace, not trace and detach. This picture will be left whole, right? You can delete that, move it off to the side if you think you're going to use it again, right? Go ahead and delete that one because we have one down here ready to go. All right, I'm going to start with this one, and I'm going to show you again on the other one as well. All right, you want to come over to your ellipse tool. You're going to grab the circle, and you're going to place that where you want it. Now, if you space it and you make it more of an actual circle, you're going to have a deeper curve. If you squish it and make it more like an oval, you have a not so steep one, so it's a little bit more flat. If you pull it out, you will definitely flatten it more. So that is completely and totally up to you and how you want your actual curve to look. Once you kind of get it and you're satisfied with the curve, you're going to make a duplicate of that. You can hold, an easy way to do it is to hover over it, put your mouse on the line, hold down the Alt key, and then just drag up. From here, you can move it around. You can make it very narrow. You can make it wider. That is, again, up to you on the look that you are going for your particular design. Once you've settled on where you want that to be, you're going to drag and select both of those ellipse or ovals or circles, depending on what you made. You're going to come over to Modify. And you're going to choose Divide. Then you're going to hold down your Shift key, select the top part of the design of that shape, and then hit Delete on your keyboard to delete everything else. And one of the things I did forget to do is fill this with color. I like to fill things with color because it makes it a little bit easier to see what you're doing and what you're selecting, and it makes it easier to select. So I'm going to come here and add black. Right now, I am using the beta version of 4.3, so my screen and certain tools and things may look a little bit different than what you have if you are watching this and 4.3 just came out. You're still rocking with 4.2, or maybe even still version 3. Or maybe other versions have come out and we're past version 4.3 and you're watching an older version. Just kind of apply these step and techniques to the tools and where they're located at in your particular version of Silhouette Studio. So now that let's first go back, and we forgot to add the color. There we go. And I also like to remove the line color once I have something filled with color. I just don't care for line colors. All right, once you have that, you're then going to offset it. So you're going to come down here, choose offset, offset. And this is another area where it's going to be to your liking, your personal preference. If you want the line of the split to be thicker, thinner, you will decide on that and how you want this to look. So I'm going to go with 0.1. Let's go 7.5 instead of a full 2. And I think with the way this tree is, I think a 2 probably would look good. So 0.2. So we're going to put that there and apply. At this point, you can still move these around. Let's say, well, I kind of want it to fit more right here. You can definitely move it around. One of the things that I also like to do, so that I don't have to do a bunch of undos and things like that, I like to make a duplicate of my design when I get to certain points so that I don't have to do a bunch of undo. So I'm just going to hold down Alt, left mouse click on it, and drag that off to the side for safekeeping in case I need to come back to it. All right, we're then going to take this middle shape of these two, hold down Shift, click on your image, in this case the tree. You're going to come over to Modify. You're going to choose Subtract All, not Subtract, Subtract All, so that our middle piece stays behind once the middle of the tree is subtracted. Right? Now that that is subtracted, you're going to take the two, like the shape that's made up of the cut ellipse, and you're going to make them a compound path. I'm going to fill it with color just so that you can see what happens when you make something a compound path. See, I have both parts filled with color, right click, make compound path. So now you lose the middle part. Now there are two ways that you can do this. I'm going to just make another duplicate. You can choose to use your knife tool. So you would just come up here to your knife tool and you will cut this wherever you want it to be cut. And then delete the ends. Or you can take your design, put an offset on it. So we're going to go offset. You're going to make it a really obnoxious, like a really, really big offset, because you want it to kind of come out and just have a defined area where you're going to cut away this part. So we're going to offset. Like I said, I'm going to make it a really, really big number. So I'm just going to make it like 3. Enter. Or 0.3. Maybe even, let's go with 5. Enter. All right, so I'm going to hit apply. And then I want to bring those to the front. So I'm going to right click and bring it to the front. Then I'm going to hold down my Shift key, click on basically what's creating my split, go back to Modify, and then Crop. So I have that now cropped down. Then we're going to select the image and the split, and you're going to weld. You're going to come up here to weld. You have weld in your modify. You can right click and weld. You can use the keyboard shortcut for weld. A couple different ways to go about doing that. All right. When you weld, anything that's not touching will become separated. So you just want to right click and group that back together. Same thing up here. We're just going to select it, and we're going to do it different with this time. Right click and weld. Right, that's all welded, and we're going to group this together. All right, now it's time to put our name in it. And this is what I was also saying, like when you have that, like those circles, that may also be a good time to actually make your duplicate, because if you find that your spacing is too big, to do it from here, you would have to do a couple different steps to, to adjust the width of that space. So if you actually made your duplicate when you made the circle, the 2 circles before you did anything to it, that would actually be a better place to, better place in your design process to make the duplicate, because then it'll be easier to change the width of this. Now, some people may go to where they will want to, if they need it to be narrow, they'll just take either everything on the top, group it together and nudge it down. That can change the shape of your tree depending on like how defined or how detailed the tree is. You could end up changing the shape of it. Sometimes it will work. All right. You're then going to type out your text. So we're going to go here and I'm just going to use my last name this time. So PRICLES. Right. You can change your font now to kind of play around with it, or you can do it once you have it in the split. So I'm going to fill this with color and remove the lime color just to see what it looks like. Right, I think that font's going to be a little bit too thick for that. I'm going to bring it down here. And you can scroll through and choose whatever font you want. There is no right or wrong font for this particular design. It is all personal preference. You decide what font you want, what look you want, like what look you're going for, and things of that nature. That's one of my favorite fonts for a lot of things. All right, let's try that one. All right, I'm going to double click on it to bring up my draw curve. So you double click, you get this little icon, and let's zoom in right here. And delete that Z. So double click, pull this one to this line, right? So I can leave it in the middle, or I can take my character spacing and space it out some. Oh, well, let's first click off to where we're not in text edit mode and we're in selection mode. And now I can increase my character spacing. Then I can double click on it again. Bring my design over. I can also select everything. And let's change the font size on this. Well, it doesn't want to act right, so I'm just going to click it. And it's at 149. I think this is way too big. So let's go down to maybe 130. That's pretty good. You can probably even go 125. Right? And double click on it again. Because of course that made it shift. And we will move this to be centered. Again, you want it to take up more of that space. You can always increase your character spacing if you so desire. Once you have that, you do want to make sure for the next step that your letters overlap at least the bar part of it. So like with my S, it's a little bit off. So I'm going to ungroup this. And I think I missed that part. Oh, no, I didn't. So it's not done yet. So once it's on the curve, to make it stay that way, what you want to do is click on your text. You're going to right click. And if it's right where you need it to be, you don't need to make any modifications. You can choose to convert to path and then you'll weld it. If you know that you need to make modifications, you can just ungroup from here rather than convert to path and then ungroup because you're creating a second step. So just right here, it's not connected. So I can either bring it down and like over, down, just to make sure it's connected, or on individual letters. If it's just like a little small piece, we can double click on that and bring down an edit point just to make sure that it overlaps. You can either pull down on the tabs. I don't personally like to do that and change the look and the feel of fonts, but you can definitely do that. There's a little gap right there. So we're going to double click and add a point, bring that down, double click, bring that down. All right. So once you have it to where everything overlaps, you're just going to select it all And you're going to right click in Weld, or you can use a keyboard shortcut for Weld, modify in Weld, the Weld button up here. Once it all welds together, you're just going to right click. There we go. And group it together. If I were to turn the line colors on, you're going to see that there are no gaps or no red lines in between those letters and the frame. And that's essentially what you want for this type of design. Now, right here, I probably could have pulled the R down and then pulled the back of the L, the back and front of the L down as well. But you can always go in there and make, further adjustments to your liking. So we're going to do this one more time. I'm going to go through this one a little bit faster because we've gone step by step before. Oh, wrong one. So we're going to go modify and divide. Hold down shift, select the top, delete everything else. Actually, I think I want this to be right at the bottom of it. Show more of the leaves. And we're going to offset 0.15. Apply. Click on the middle, hold down shift, click on here, modify and subtract all. So these two, right click, make compound path. I'm going to use my knife tool instead of the offset feature. Right. Oh, I don't think I cut all the way through this one. So let's go ahead and cut through this again. Go and delete. I can now delete this part. Delete this one. And we're going to select everything. Right click and weld. And doing it this way, you can see you don't have to do the color at the beginning. If you're comfortable with, knowing how it works, you can definitely just add your color whenever. So I'm going to add the black, remove my line colors. So there's that. This curve may be a little odd, but again, you can always play around with how your curves look, right? So we're just going to go Silaholics this time. And you also can wait until you have your design, your text on the curve before you decide on what font you want to use. So now that I have that, we're going to go over to the fonts and I can choose what font I want to use. And you can't just stretch it like you would normally do to increase your letter size because it is attached to the design. So if you stretch it, it's going to stretch the bottom as well. So you want to definitely adjust based off of your point size so that it adjusts just the text. So at 72, that's really small. I'm going to go up to 175. It's kind of small as well. Let's go 200. Click. Uh-oh. Let's pull that back up. Center that a little bit better. All right. Right click. And I think everything is basically overlapped. Well, no, there's some right there. So we're just going to ungroup. Oops. And let's fill with color. And remove our line color. Oh, this wasn't touching at all. So we're going to grab raise this up. This is not necessary, but just because I'm doing it, the look of it is driving me crazy. I don't like the shape of it, so I'm going to use like a different tool, which is your shear tool, to kind of click there and then show handles. And I'm going to shift this some just so that it straightens out a little bit. So I can move this here. All right, so once we have where everything is overlapped, we'll do the same thing. We'll just select it and weld. Then right click and, oh well, this actually is all glued together. I didn't have any separate pieces. So once we welded, this is all together and it's good to go, ready for you to be able to cut from your adhesive vinyl or your heat transfer vinyl, or ready to print to do as a printed design. Right, I'm going to show you it's on a letter for a monogram. I'm going to change this one to P. Although I do think maybe that W works a little bit better because it was wider. Let's go with right. So we're going to hold down Alt, drag up to the top. I want this one, I think, to be kind of big and chunky. Grab the two ovals, modify, divide, hold down Shift, click on the top portion, delete everything else. Right click, offset, offset, we'll leave it at the default, apply, hold down Shift, click on the, hold down the middle part, click on the middle part, hold down Shift, click on the M, modify, subtract all, select the two modified ovals, right click, make compound path, get your knife tool and follow the edges. And then click on end and delete. Select all of what's left and weld. We're going to fill this with color and we're going to remove line color. And then you just type in your text right here and do it the same way that we did on the other side, as far as double clicking on it and moving it around. All right. So hopefully that helps you kind of put a spin on those curved monograms. I would love to see what you guys create. So if you aren't a member of my Facebook group, SILaholics Anonymous, Silhouette Help, do make sure that you follow the link in the description box and you go ahead and send a request to join. Feel free to ask questions, post your finished products and things like that so that we can see what you guys come up with from the videos that you watch here. If you aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure that you go ahead and hit the subscribe button and then hit the notification bell so that you are notified whenever I drop new videos. Also in the description box, you're going to find a link for my second YouTube channel, which is Elite Prints and Creations, which is where I will do live demos of like things that you may see me create here. I'll show you live demos of how to apply it to different things, how to make shirts, and different crafts and things like that will be posted on that channel, as it continues to grow. Right? If you have any additional questions, do not hesitate to go ahead and leave it as a comment below, like the video, and you also can email me questions as well. That email address is in the description box. All right, guys, until next time, have a great one.